Match number 5 of the evening would see a father versus son match. As Pete Strodoff took on Ben Strodoff. Finally getting their hands on each other again. So I think this one would start. Pete would come out to the ring. I can't say Strodoff and Strodoff because I keep forgetting who I'm talking about. Pete would come out to the ring. He'd grab hold of the mic. He'd abuse the fans, right? And the fans were chanting, "Your son's better." At this point, Pete would turn around. He'd go to walk away because he's like, if you guys don't respect me, if you don't shut up with those chants, the typical run in his mouth. Anyway, he'd go to walk away, but Ben would stop him. But I think this was a bit of a ruse, as Pete would go straight on the attack and start to beat down. He'd even bite Ben's hand and then a roll-up pin early on for a 2 count. They'd exchanged a hold, some chain wrestling at this point, as they both looked to gain the foothold in this one. Where am I? I've lost myself. Sorry. We'll go with this. Ben Strodoff would hit the lariat, then a spinning wheel kick for a 2 count. But Pete wasn't done. He'd hit a jawbreaker. Then he'd start to beat down on his son. Nasty person. Utilizing the ropes. He was just beating down on his. I think he enjoys it, really. To be fair, I think he enjoys beating down on his son. The action would actually move outside, and Pete would actually find himself fired into the ring post. He'd sit in the crowd, just to regain himself. Poor bloke. He's just, his son's too much for him. Remember, your son's better. He hated that chant. Let's be fair. Strodoff would, Pete would start to chop down on Ben at this point, but Ben wasn't to be outdone. He's like, anything you can do, I can do better. He'd start to chop back. 10 chops. 10 chops. Count them out, fans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What comes after 9? That's right, 10. 10 chops he took. But Pete wasn't done at this point. He would hit a huge suplex for a 2 count, but he could have won it. But he pulled Ben up. It's like, I'm not done yet. He'd hit a forearm drop driver for a 2 count because he pulled him up again. What are you playing at, you fool? You had this one. He'd head to the second rope, but Ben would perform a Samoan drop, then head up top. He'd hit the Swanton Bomb to win. Just proved the point of what the crowd was saying. Your son's better because he gets the job done. He got the job done. Pete, you had this one, but Ben got the job done. What a beautiful Swanton Bomb it was as well. Absolute, just majestically through the air, man. That was a beautiful, beautiful Swanton by Ben. Right, anyway, Pete, mate, this one he had this one won. It was his own fault that he didn't win. He put on a great performance against his son, held his own, proved he was just as good as his son, but he didn't make the smart decision of picking up the win. Ben, you got the job done. This was, I loved watching this one. This was the chops, everything. This one was just fantastic. These two put on a fantastic match, and they hugged at the end. End of rivalry. This is it. Done. Hug at the end. Beautiful to see, really. Especially after they've just beaten the 10 bells of hell out of each other. Anyway, these two put on a great match. Always great to see it live in action. So if you get the opportunity to go and check these guys out, you must do so. Go check them out live for yourselves.